There we
Good
go.
enough. Okay.
You're good enough.
Your mom's good enough.
You're... Shut up.
Oh, man. What is going on, everyone? My name is Under the Radar, and welcome back to the Draft League Viabilities. And as you know from the last video, I am not alone. I am joined by Emily. Say hello to the people.
I knew you were going to do this. We were talking about this before. I knew you were going to introduce me as Emily. What's going on, everyone? My name is Berk.
Emily.
Not Emily.
His name's Emily.
God damn it.
But in this video, we are actually going to be talking about my all-time favorite Pokemon in draft format. Like if there was the equivalent of a boner for a Pokemon in draft format, it would be this Pokemon. And that is Tornadus-T. I'll let you go ahead and talk so I can get all my sexual feelings about this thing out later.
just calm it down there. You know, it's not that serious.
Oh, it is.
All right, it's just a Tornadus. Tornadus is Tornadus is a very interesting Pokemon League format. It's got a great speed stat at 121. Really good, or at least decent offenses on both sides, making a really good bulky pivot. Good bulk to it, 79, 80, 90. It functions really well as like with Life Orb, with Assault Vest. It's got a crazy diverse move pool, which just makes it a really big threat to try to wall, as well as to try to take down, especially with Regenerator. I think it's one of the trickier mons to use in League format because it's like, what do you put it as week to week? Is it a sweeper? Is it just a bulky pivot? Is it like kind of like an Assault Vest wall? You know, what does it do week to week? And I think that's a little bit hard for a lot of teams to manage. So I think it's one of the ones that requires a little bit more finesse to use.
Okay, so this Pokemon is my all-time favorite for a couple different reasons. You said it kind of requires a little bit more finesse. I don't think so at all. I think that this is one of the most obvious Pokemon to put into any role of any given week. I used it in the LBA. I feel like I've used a lot of Pokemon in the LBA, but 3 seasons, like 10 mons each, you end up using a lot of Pokemon. But this was always the last Pokemon I put on any team because it doesn't get defog, so I always had my hazard removal, and I didn't have to worry about that. It always came down to, what do I have the most trouble with? And, hold on, I just realized that I have my cursor on Skype, and they could probably see the little phone thingamabobbers, but I don't really give a shit.
So professional.
Whatever. Anyway, you can always just put this thing onto the last slot of any team and be like, okay, do I have a problem taking out a certain wall? Do I have a problem walling a certain special mon? Do I have a problem pivoting around a certain couple team members to drop in this nuke and kill something? Do I have a problem with killing things? Do I have too much bulk and I need to figure out a way to gain me some momentum to get into the bulk to get chip damage? This thing can do literally anything. Life Orb Tornadus has very few switch-ins because Hurricane is such high power, base 110 special attack. Life Orb, you add in Stab, and then you add the chance to confuse it. It's super fucking strong. The only bad thing about Tornadus is the fact that you can only run 4 moves. Like, whenever you look at any team, you can see a fairy, you can see a dragon, you can see something that you want to knock off, you can see you want a U-turn, you want some coverage moves. If it has a Hippowdon, you want Grass Knot. You want to run, like, 14 different moves on one Pokemon. So that's why I always say it's the last Pokemon that you can slap on the team, because it just fills whatever role you need. And that is the key to a fantastic Pokemon in League format. Because things like Weavile, they're going to do the exact same thing every single week. You can't just throw that in the last slot and be like, okay, I'm going to make you a bulky pivot. I'm going to make you defensive. I'm going to make you live hits.
I mean, it's only got a 4 times weakness.
4 times weaknesses in me there. Not my friends. But this thing is awesome. Its move pool. Holy shit balls. Okay, so let's just go down the list. You have U-turn, you have knockoff, you have Heat Wave, which is really important because that means you don't have to run Hidden Power Fire, and I think that is very key in League format because things like Ferrothorn, Scizor, you don't have to waste your hidden power on that. You can run hidden power something else. You don't have to run hidden power ice because it gets icy wind. You don't have to run we don't have to worry about like fairies because it gets sludge wave. You don't have to worry about grass types or fighting types because it gets hurricane. There is so much that this thing can do. Then you add in the fact that this thing is a flying type, pure flying type, that's not weak to rocks.
Yeah, the regen really helps it deal with hazards.
Exactly. So you switch in, you're going to take 25%, but if you U-turn right out, you're getting back 33. It's so key to so many teams, and I personally think that this could be one of the top Pokemon in League format.
That's a bold claim, Kelly. That's a bold claim.
It's not up there with like Manaphy, but it's up there. It's really up there just because it can do so much. You don't need to invest in attack to hit really hard and to clean up late game. You don't need to invest in a lot of speed because there's not many things that break the base 120 speed barrier. You know, you have Weavile, which you don't want to stay in on anyway. You have Mega Lopunny, which you're not going to stay in on anyway because of Ice Punch in return. And then you have like
Jolteon.
You have that shitty evolution.
Well, I guess I'm done in this video.
I'm just kidding. I wanted to draft Jolteon. I like Jolteon. I just like to pick on Emily. And then you have things like Mega Manectric, like that you're not staying in on anyway. Like, you can live an Ice Shard from Mamoswine from like half health. Like, it's depending on its item and things like that. And then you can hit with a Grass Knot. So you can live hits for days. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the better regen mons you can draft. I mean, there's not really too many. You can draft Tornadus, Reuniclus. You got the really bulky, fat ones that really are passive. Amoonguss, Alomola. I know you have a close relationship with Alomola.
But then you also have things like Mienshao, which I don't think is as good because it's not as bulky. It's super frail.
And it's also much more limited as move pool.
Yeah, very true. It's limited to like Fake Out and U-turn.
And Aura Sphere, come on.
Yeah, because special Mienshao.
You should talk about that another time. But it just work. Yeah, it can work well on pretty much any team. I feel like it's another mon that you got to make sure you got a lot of different things to go with it, especially offensively. So it's not, every week it's going to be specially offensive with Life Orb. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that you also have to build a little bit around offensively to make sure it's not just stuck in the same offensive role week to week.
Yep.
It's not a physical sweeper that you want every week because it only has base 100. It's not a special sweeper you want every week because you can draft some with more than 110 special attack. But if you are able to draft good special offense and good physical offense, you can drop this on a team and it'll do a lot of work.
Yep. Especially because like the offensive mons that you want with it, you don't really need a fighting offensive mon with it because Tornadus does get superpower, and a lot of things that are weak to fighting, they drop to like hard hitting moves like superpower. You know, like Snorlax drops to superpower, Chansey, Blissey, things like that. Hard walls like that. So that's not really something you have to worry about. I would say more worrying about like a hard hitting water type. Like a Keldeo would be really cool because it can, but even though that's like a fighting type, but you know what I mean, like a hard hitting Scald user.
Mm-hmm.
Or even like Mega Gyarados would be really cool with it. Because it can set up, it can hit really hard with Waterfall. It gets Dark Stab, which is really cool. With Crunch, so you don't have to worry about always running knockoff to hit things on the dark side. So that's really cool.
Yeah, you definitely need things that can really whittle down an opponent's team for this just to absolutely clean up. Because if you kill anything that's faster than it, which is not much, drop it in without speeds besides some Scarfers, which, again, you want to kill those first.
I definitely think that the main thing that helps this thing out is... I almost died. Is Toxic Spikes. Like, I know that hazards in general are really nice, but Toxic Spikes specifically, because it's residual damage every single turn that they stay in, not just when they switch in, like Spikes and Stealth Rocks. So I think that's like the one hazard that you need to make sure with this thing. And I think that's awesome.
So you're thinking Tentacruel, very good pair with this.
Tentacruel, Scolipede again because it does get Toxic Spikes. Scolipede is so fucking good. I love Scolipede.
I know. It's just I wish I drafted that.
Even like Greninja would be kind of cool, even though it's like a fast frail mon, but they pair really well because they can U-turn with each other instead of toxic spikes.
Regular spikes.
What's the speedy bug thing that's 6-0'd Frito?
A Selgor, I've got it on my team.
There we go.
A Selgor is amazing.
There we go. I love how that's how I remembered the bug. Oh, I can only laugh because I know how it feels to be 6-0'd by something, and it hurts to the core, especially when it's twice in a row. It hurts.
Yeah, I've never been 6-0'd yet.
Twice in a row.
I know. I watched those. It was funny.
I hate you. But another thing that I think really, really complements well with this thing is Rocky Helmet walls. Things like
Garchomp,
Ferrothorn, because it can get Iron Barbs and Rocky Helmet. I think that the key to making Tornadus successful is very good chip damage, and that's really all it needs. Just weaken things to like 70%, and then try to live a Hurricane. Just try, see if it'll happen.
Yeah, and I think one thing we're forgetting is rain teams.
Oh yeah.
Rain teams love Tornadus-Syrian. Absolutely love Tornadus-Syrian because now you've got Stab Hurricane that never misses.
From a mon that more than likely you don't have to run Timid.
And slap a Life Orb on that, and what switches into that? What honestly switches into that? So it has utility on other teams just besides just regular teams. Rain teams in particular, just it functions so well. Not really too much like Sun or Sand or Hail, but then again, who uses Hail teams?
Good point.
Nothing really benefits from Hail besides like Frostlass.
Glaceon.
So. I'm sorry. Those are
Those
great.
are two of the best ones, man.
Those are great choices in League format. But yeah, slapping this on a rain team, it just makes it so much scarier to try to deal with because not only is it a bulky pivot, it is now just an incredibly strong sweeper.
I know this isn't really about Tornadus, but what is your opinion on just weather teams in general?
Straight weather teams where if you need the weather to win, it's a bad team. Because that becomes so predictable because you have to bring the weather setter. You have to. That's one requirement to bring. And then you have to bring the things that are really, really good in weather. So like, for instance, like rain teams. You bring Politoed, Kingdra, and Swampert. Those are like staples to the team, and it becomes very predictable. And when you can plan for weather, you can bring your own opposing weather, because a lot of things just get manual weather set up that you wouldn't think. I played a Sun team season 1 of my league, and I used Rain Dance Vaporeon with hydration to counteract Mega Charizard Y.
That's awesome.
So straight weather teams I don't think are great, but teams that are like you have the Politoed, but you got a lot of things that can do well outside of weather, but then are just kind of a little bit better in weather, I think can work very well.
And that's kind of why I asked you that, because this thing kind of like Tornadus-Therian is just like the voice of that. Like it's good outside of weather, it's really good inside of weather, it's perfect for both. So I think
so if you're ever looking to draft a rain team, this should be like top of the list, something to look at.
And to make sure that you don't just get rain. That's very key. Do you think that there are any walls that are almost necessary with this?
Not necessary, but like you said, just things that have rough skin and iron barbs are really good with this, just to help whittle things down. Any really good tanky physical wall, especially ones that resist ice, because you think the most physical ice types, which are Weavile and Mamoswine, you want something to resist those hits very well, because Weavile, while it can't switch in to a Tornadus attack, it can revenge kill a Tornadus with Ice Shard, Icicle Crash because it outspeeds, even try to like maybe Pursue Trap it. So you're going to want something to be able to switch in on something like Weavile or Mamoswine, which not really easy to do, but you want something that can. Aside from that, it doesn't really have tons of weaknesses that are really exploitable.
Yeah, I think that another really big one would be Electro Types, because of recent, it seems that electric types are kind of sort of just something that everybody wants. Everybody wants a Jolteon, a Raikou, a Mega Electric.
A fast electric type.
It's just how it is. So if... Oh, Skype is dying. Skype is dying. Hold on.
I noticed.
Okay, there we go. You're back. So if you, like, have a ground type to be able to switch into that, and then you have the ice resistance to switch into that, this thing is just... It's so amazing.
Yep, it's pretty much good to go at that point.
Yep. And I don't think that this thing is even reliant on some of, like, my favorite walls in League format are, like, bulky psychic types. They're my all-time favorite. Cresselia, Reuniclus, Gothitelle, they're my favorites. But this thing doesn't rely on that at all.
Gothitelle. Not Mega Audino? I know it's not psychic, but isn't that one of your favorite walls?
Yes, it's one of my favorite walls. However, I'm trying to branch out from my love for Mega Audino.
I'm starting my love for Mega Audino this season, so we'll see. I hope it works for me.
It happens. Do you think that there's any right-away offensive threats that this thing needs? This is a really long video. It's already up to like 17 minutes. Wow.
To complement it? I think it works. I think it definitely works well with really anything that's a good maybe speed boosting sweeper to try to help clean up. Maybe if Tornadus can't finish off the entire team, you've got a backup sweeper. Wall breakers, just straight wall breakers, are fantastic. You pair this up with a Mega Medicham. Oh,
wow, that's really cool. I didn't even think about Mega Medicham.
It's just, there's a lot of things you can pair this up with, and when I look at Tornadus, to me it's always been more of a sweeper to me. You know, you send it in and you try to clean up the game. A lot of times it can be used as a bulky pivot and all that, as we talked about. But you pair it up with really, really, really strong wall breakers, and this thing I think can shine even better.
See, I'm not even sure what you would pair this thing up with, because I just think it's so good on its own that you can just pair anything with it and it could be good. But oh man, now you got me thinking about Mega Medicham, and that's
I love
dangerous.
Mega Medicham.
Another thing that's really cool about Tornadus that we kind of did forget is that it gets access to Tailwind. So it could be really cool for support if you do have something like a Mega Medicham, which is only base 100 speed. You know you're about to die. Tornadus is going to outspeed a lot of things. Set up a Tailwind. Then send in your Mega Medicham, which has no switch-ins, and watch the world die. Like, oh, Tornadus is so good.
Yeah, however, I do see like a more support towards its Therian form. You know, with Prankster, I find that to be a lot better of a supporting option than Tornadus Therian. But I mean, Incarnate is better at the support. So it does have access to those moves, and because of its speed, it can put them to use. But it'd be interesting to see Tailwind.
I've used it before. I've used it before when I knew that a Politoed was about to switch out to go into Mega Swampert. Went for Tailwind, outsped a Mega Swampert, killed it with a Grass Knot. Like,
nice.
Like strategies like that just work so well with a Tornadus Therian. I love it. I've even ran Choice Scarf because it is so fast. I can outspeed some mons like in sand and in rain and things like that. So it's really good. I've done that. Oh my god, this thing is just perfect. But I'm done having a boner over this thing. What kind of grade would you give this?
I would probably, because of how versatile Tornadus is, like this is a thing that you can pick up very early and build a team around very easily. Like pick up other things that work well with it, and it's not going to be too tough to build a good team. You just got to pick up some good special offense, some good physical offense, and some walls that complement it, which there's an abundance of. So I would probably give this like an A-. It's something I could see picking up first round. I've seen it picked up first round various leagues, and it works. Versatility is very, very good in league format, so A- is my grade.
Okay. So I realize I have a boner for this thing, but I think it's well deserved. Honestly, it's not like I'm fangirling over this thing, because I normally don't like the genies. I don't like Thundurus, I don't like Landorus. I think that they're stupid legendaries, but this thing, I just love the way it performs in league format. So for that, I'm going to be giving it the first A+. of the entire series. Okay,
Oof.
A pluses. I don't give out A pluses very much. I only give A pluses out to Emily and to Tornadus-T and some other specific Pokemon.
I get an A plus. Wait, no. No, I refuse the A plus.
Why?
Because he called me Emily again.
But you're pretty. Oh man. But yeah, this thing is just it's one of the best in the format. And honestly, if you're looking for an easy mon to use, like if you're just starting out in League format and you're looking for a very easy mon to use and a very easy mon to build around that you don't have to worry about getting cores and things like that, this is the mon for you because it has exactly what everybody needs in speed, bulk, utility, everything. It's perfect. So this is definitely getting an A plus for me.
Well, we differ a little bit, so average A.
Average A. So
That's pretty good.
I had a blast doing these 2 videos with you, Berk. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this series with me. I really enjoyed having somebody to talk to about this stuff because it makes it more entertaining for me as well.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. And, you know, if you ever want to invite me back on, I'll think about it.
We'll see. But if you guys did enjoy, please make sure to leave a like for me. Also, make sure to leave a comment for your opinions of Tornadus-T, what your reasoning is, what your letter grade is, all this, that, and the other. I always love reading the comments on these videos. The feedback on these series is like, on this series is through the fucking roof, and I'm so happy with it. Also, while you're at it, in the description, there is a link to Berk's channel. Make sure you go over to his channel, subscribe, watch his ISL. I almost forgot what it was for a second. His ISL League games, they're absolutely fucking amazing. And he's really good at the game. He's very knowledgeable of it. So make sure you guys go give him some love for me. I really do appreciate it. But with that, I'm going to go and get on out of here. Hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Bye.